Welcome back to another episode of Critically Incorrect, your weekly gaming podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Online, here today with Charlie, if you wanted to say hi.
Hello.
Yeah, we got quite a bit of gaming news to talk about, so we'll just get right into things. A lot of PlayStation goodness as well. But yeah, as we always start off these episodes, Charlie, what have you been playing over the last week or so?
Yeah, again, as sort of like the past few weeks have been, I have played some more Horizon. I'm about 40 hours into it now. I've hardly touched the story since last time we spoke. Mainly just doing side stuff. I'm still having a lot of fun with that game. I have actually, like, as of recording, I've got a week off work, so um, hopefully I'll finish Horizon this week because I'm planning to just chill out and not really do much because I haven't had a long period of time off in a while. So I'm planning to play that. I did also reinstall Mass Effect, but this time on PC because it is on Game Pass, and I just felt like trying it on PC, and I'm really enjoying that. I started up Mass Effect 2, so I'm probably going to be playing through that over the next week as well. And then also, we did get the release of the new OST for Beat Saber this week with OST 5, alongside like new updates to some new note types and that kind of thing. So I've played maybe an hour or two of that. I'm really enjoying the new update. The new tracks are really fun. They're also really challenging compared to like official tracks. Like the ones they've added on this one are super challenging to the point where I haven't been able to beat any of them on Expert Plus yet, which is odd for me. I can normally play stuff on Expert straight away, and then I usually swap over to Expert Plus. But there was a couple tracks in here I had to step down to hard, which was an interesting change, but I am enjoying it. Um, I'm thinking of streaming some Beat Saber next week because I do enjoy streaming it. I just never feel like it, but because I got the time off, I think I might do that. I'm just waiting for mod support to work again because whenever a new
New
update
update,
comes
yeah.
out for Beat Saber, it breaks mods. So it usually takes a few days for them to get the mods up and running. I haven't checked today, but the past few days mods haven't been working, so I'll have a look and see if that's all working. Hopefully within the next week or so, that'll be all good, so I can give that a go again. And aside from that, I've played a bit more Destiny. I'm like almost at the max level now. I haven't played through the raid or anything yet because we're still putting together like a full team to play through that. But yeah, I'm getting close to max level on that now and still having a lot of fun grinding away at that. I am just quickly checking my Steam to see if I've played anything else, but no, that is basically it for me this week.
Nice, nice. Haven't played terribly much this last week just because it's been like it's the week before finals, so I have like a lot of projects due this week and stuff, but been knocking that stuff out. Besides that, I played like probably like a little bit over 5 hours of Elden Ring more. So like I think my play time's around like 30. So still making more progress on that front. Very much enjoying the game. Just more, exploration. Game still just surprises me. Just yeah, the world's absolutely massive. It's crazy. But I won't talk too much about that because I've already given my spiel on that. I am finishing up here soon, so yeah, I think by next week, this time next week, I'll be done with everything. So looking forward to going back home for a week and might try to start up Horizon since I'll be back at home with my 4K monitor. So that'll be cool. But yeah, besides that, just finishing things up here. And yeah, I guess that's pretty much been it for me. We'll get into the releases this week, as Charlie hinted at earlier. Beat Saber OST 5 finally dropped, so that's really really cool to see. Um, yeah, I haven't played Beat Saber in a long time. The last time I really played it was at probably I'd say Beat Saber OST 4. When I got my Quest 2, I like tried the demo for it, but I didn't want to like rebuy the game I already owned. But yeah, I'll definitely have to give that a try at some point. I don't know when it will be though, because I don't feel like rebuying Beat Saber just because I already owned it on PSVR for a while, but that's still very cool to see. And then besides that, I think Assassin's Creed Valhalla: Dawn of Ragnarok is out. Charlie, do you know anything more about this than I do? Is it like a huge expansion for the game, or yeah?
Not too much. I've looked into it a little bit, but I think it's basically just like a slightly bigger expansion for Valhalla, just focused on more the mythical stuff. That I think they've done this for the past few games now, where they'll do like a kind of bigger expansion based on like the mythology stuff. So for those who like Valhalla, it's there, I guess. I might pick it up at some point, but I still need to beat Valhalla. I think I put like 50 hours in. I'm nowhere near beating it, so maybe one day. But yeah, cool for those who enjoy that game.
Valhalla is like the one game I regret buying. Like that and Marvel's Avengers from Square Enix are the two games I regret buying over the last few years. I played like an hour of it on PS5 and then dropped it. Uh, but that's really cool to see, at least for those that enjoy that kind of game. But yeah, we'll get into the gaming news. As I hinted at earlier, there was a lot of PlayStation stuff. I think on Tuesday, PlayStation announced that the following day, on Wednesday, there'd be a state of play. At least I think it was on Wednesday. Yeah. And yeah, sure enough, that state of play came around, and I think if you had like the right expectations in mind, it wasn't that bad of a showing. But certainly, there's a lot of people disappointed just because it essentially was like a lot of Japanese games. A lot of those games didn't appeal to a lot of people, obviously, from people that want to see like updates on like first party and stuff like that, which that stuff is still coming soon. But the way I saw it is they announced the state of play like the day before it happened. It's only 20 minutes long, and they even said it's going to be a focus on like Japanese third party developers. So I was totally expecting like a bunch of Square Enix games and Capcom games and stuff like that, and that's totally what we saw. We got like updates on Forsaken. Like literally, I think the morning of they announced that they delayed the game, or it might have been like a few days prior. So that's now coming out in October. Capcom announced like a new IP. I think it was called like Exo Primal or something like that. It was the one game that everyone thought was like Dino Crisis, and it wasn't. So that game looks interesting. It looks like Anthem meets Jurassic Park. That's what I said on stream. It's like such a weird game, but looks cool. And then they showed off some more Square Enix games. I think they showed off Stranger of Paradise for a second, and new demos out for that game. And then like they ended off with like two Square Enix games, and the highlight of the show for me was actually the second to last game, because it was like a game that looked like essentially Fire Emblem Three Houses, but like it looked really good graphically. That's coming out by Square Enix later this year. I think it was like something like
Not
Dio,
Final
House of
Fantasy
Dio,
Tactics.
not Final Fantasy Tactics, but yeah, that game just looks really, really cool. I was like, even when they showed off like the map and like the territory of like the Alliance, and I was like, I was gonna make a joke on stream that wow, this looks like Final Fantasy, this looks like Fire Emblem Three Houses, and then they get into the combat and it literally looks exactly like that. So I'm totally down for that. Besides that, I'm trying to think of what else they announced. It was just more JRPGs. Returnal got a 3.0 update announcement, so they're adding co-op in for free, which I don't think has been like previously hinted at. So that was a really cool surprise. That's coming out in like 2 weeks from today, the day we're recording this. So that looks pretty cool. I think they also announced it's like a survival mode as well. So pretty cool to see that game get extra content for free after launch. But yeah, besides that, am I forgetting anything, Charlie? But that was like the main thing I remember, at least.
Main things, yeah. There's a few other things here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Like I went into, so I mean, I might as well give my thoughts, right? But like,
Yeah.
I thought it was a decent showcase. Like you said, I went in with the expectation of it's mainly going to be Japanese games, so there's probably not going to be much here that's going to interest me, but there might be a few things, which was basically how it was. I think the most exciting like Japanese thing for me was probably Exo Primal, just because it looked pretty interesting. It kind of looked like World War Z meets dinosaurs, which I'm totally into. It looks like it's using the RE engine, judging by like what the characters look like and stuff. So it's cool to see they're doing more with that. Although I totally was also just baited and thought it was like some kind of reboot of Dino Crisis.
Yeah.
Especially when I saw like the redhead lady, because I think she's like a character in Dino Crisis, or at least looks similar, right?
She looks similar.
Yeah, so there was that looked pretty cool. I have downloaded the demo for Stranger of Paradise because I do want to try that out, see what that's like. Because everyone's out here playing Elden Ring. I'm gonna try the Final Fantasy ripoff, so I'll give that one a go. Forspoken, I think looks pretty cool. Whether it'll actually be decent or not, I don't know. Like I can't say the story is looking to like interest me that much, but gameplay and like animation wise, it looks really fun. So I'm definitely gonna like keep an eye out for that one. And then the like most random one there that I really liked the announcement of was the TMNT collection. Like I love Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like I grew up with those. I love Turtles in Time. It's like one of my favorite beat 'em up games of all time, and the remake on PS3 was awesome. So seeing they're bringing, I think it's like 13 games in the collection, which is insane. And the like multiplayer ones are all gonna have like online multiplayer support too, which is really cool. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna get that because yeah, it's cool that they're bringing all of those games back because some of them are really difficult to play these days. Some of those games are like 30 years old. Um, So I'm super excited about that one. Um, yeah, and then obviously Returnal, the update for that will be cool. I definitely need to go back to Returnal. Maybe we should play the co-op, Brandon. Maybe that's how
We
we beat the
should.
game.
Bro, I'm so mad. I think I talked about this like before, like even last week. Like I literally like got to. I think you were watching the stream, or
We
like
were
maybe
weren't we at
it
the
was.
same area?
We were, but like I made like a lot of progress on stream. Like I got like past like two biomes or something like that, and like my PS5 just wouldn't turn off or something on stream.
Oh
I remember
yeah, I
that. Remember that.
remember.
And then I like it finally like I had to like cut off the power or something like that. Like unplug it because it just wasn't responding for like an hour. And then I came back and like that whole entire like session I played on stream just was for nothing. So like I think I immediately went back in to see how much progress I could make, and like I immediately got like bad RNG and died immediately. I'm like, screw this game, bro. And I just stopped playing it because I already like I don't know. I feel so cheated, which I was cheated. But yeah, just crazy. I think
I
Returnal's
was
been the
good.
only game I've had issues with like crashing and like weird save stuff with PS5. But yeah.
Yeah, because I think we both yeah, you might have lost the progress, but I remember we both got to like the final biome, like the icy area,
Oh yeah,
because
for sure.
that's where I got up to, and then I think I just put it down because there was other things coming out, and I just never went back to it. Um, but yeah, maybe co-op is when we go back. Depends how
Yeah.
difficult it is in co-op. If it's the same difficulty, we'll blitz through that.
Yeah, we'll just
But
get it
I
done.
doubt it. I imagine they'd like double the enemies or something
I mean, even if they
crazy.
do that, like I don't know, we'll see, we'll see. Because I feel like this the Souls games they make them harder when you do in co-op. But it's like it depends
Yeah.
on how the AI reacted to people. Because like the Souls games, why those are easier in co-op is usually the boss will just target one of them, so it's like a free kill for the other person. So it'll depend. But obviously, if it happens like that, then we're just gonna feel like we're cheating the game. But we'll see how it
Yeah.
is. We'll have to give it a try and see how it works. But I'm totally down for that.
But yeah, and
But
then
yeah,
the survival mode in that looked pretty cool as well. Although I think that's single player. I don't think you can play that multiplayer, the tower thing.
yeah, probably
Um,
single player.
but I did see apparently there's like new story stuff in that, so I'm definitely interested to see what that's like once I eventually beat the game. Whether we do that in co-op or just solo.
Hmm.
But yeah, definitely want to give that a go when it comes out. But other than that, that was basically everything that excited me. I think the only weird one there was like the JoJo fighting game. I was like, okay, this is a bit random, but sure, why not?
Had a few anime friends that were into that, but yeah, I'm not really
Yeah.
into the whole Bandai Namco anime games. They're always like kind of crappy in my opinion. But yeah, looked not bad. Like people with the anime are happy about that, so that's cool. But yeah, I guess we'll move on. Surprising news story, at least for me, was the fact that the Dead Space remake got confirmed for early 2023. I remember we saw like the early like development live stream just like in the summer of last year, and it looked like they were like hardly just getting started and stuff like that. So I know it's a remake, but I'm just surprised that it's like apparently like only a year off now. What did you think about that, Charlie?
Yeah, I was surprised too. The interesting thing is this came literally a day after I think it was Jeff Grubb was talking about the game, and
Mm-hmm.
he was saying that he had heard that EA was initially targeting an October release for this year,
Damn,
because they wanted to hit Halloween, right? Which, fair
makes
enough.
sense.
But they eventually decided like they just want to make sure that the game's released in a good state. Especially because their plans for the remake is that if it does well, they can eventually not remake 2 and 3, but more reboot them because obviously they're not as popular as Dead Space 1, especially 3. I know some people that prefer 2. But I think the idea is if it does well, they can kind of go back and redo the series, which is fair enough. They have the hindsight of people didn't really like the more action focus of 3 or the co op and that kind of thing. So yeah, I'm surprised it's early 2023, but I'm definitely excited about this one. They did like another dev stream today, where they confirmed the date and they showed off like a load of the audio and stuff and how they're going to be doing like um the weapon sounds as well as like how Isaac sounds when he's like running around and stuff. Kind of similar to how they do stuff in like Spider-Man, where you're swinging and he sounds
Mm-hmm.
different to if you're like stood still. They've kind of got that, but they've got it to the extent of like he'll sound different if he's sprinting or if he's like really damaged. So if he's like super low on health and starts talking to someone, he sounds different. I was like, that's cool. And they were showing off how like they've got a fatigue meter, so he sounds different depending on how long you've been sprinting for,
It's a lot
and
of
how many
detail
enemies
for
are
that.
on screen. And I was like, that's like really cool details that they're going into to try and get you more immersed.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I'm super excited to see some like actual gameplay because all like the tech stuff sounds and looks really cool. I just want to see it in action. So hopefully, I imagine at E3 time we'll see a proper like gameplay snippet, which would be nice.
That is cool to have like the character react differently depending on how many enemies are in the room, because that's like totally
Yeah, yeah,
realistic. Like if there's a whole horde in there or something like that, you'd be like kind of speaking loud or like trying to get your
freaking
words
out
out
more.
quick. Yeah, or be tired as well if you're hurt and stuff like that. That's really cool. Yeah, that's awesome to see. Yeah, hopefully we'll see some soon at E3, well, quote unquote E3, right? So yeah. Anyways, a cool news story that came out this week isn't that very surprising. Elden Ring seems to be selling extremely well. So yeah, it's the best-selling game currently in the United States for 2022 so far. Fifth best-selling game over the last 12 months. I know, like over the month of February alone, like it was like one of the best launches the U.S. had seen over like the last year. I know, like on PC only, it's like already sold over 10 million copies, which is crazy. Yeah, this game's doing exceptionally well. You can kind of tell if you're on Twitter, like everyone's been talking about this game. Like even now, like I'll boot up Twitter at night and like I can't like escape conversations about Elden Ring. Uh, that yeah, everyone seems to be playing this game. It's crazy. Steam like concurrent players. It's also like I think bricked like the top six or something like that. So like it's definitely up there with some like online games, which is crazy. So yeah, a lot of success there. I imagine From Software is going to grow from this game just like they did from Sekiro and stuff like that. So I imagine they're gonna want to do a sequel or some sort of game that takes place or that is like Elden Ring, right, where it's a big open world. That formula seemed to really hit it off for the studio. So very cool to see. Charlie, what'd you think about that?
Yeah, I think it makes sense, right? Like the amount of hype that was behind this game and like the success of it, I guess, and review scores and things, it all kind of made sense. It is really cool to see that it's doing really well, and I still have not bought the game, so I have not contributed to this number. Uh, but no, I am planning to play it at some point. It's just the length of the game does really put me off because I just know I won't beat it if I pick it up anytime soon. So, like I think I've said before, I might pick it up when I get my Steam Deck. That'll probably be around that time that I get it. Then, if it's working well on there, I'll give it a go. I'm excited to play it when I do, but I'm just waiting for now. But it's cool to see it is doing really well.
Yeah, for sure. It's crazy because like I'm 30 hours in and I feel like I could be like halfway through or less than that. And like usually around
Yeah.
like the 30-hour point in like a Souls game, you feel like you're near the end. So yeah, it's crazy just how different this is compared to the other games. But yeah, understandable. I know a few friends that are waiting until they have more time. So yeah, that makes sense. Anyways, I think a tweet that came out just yesterday has to do with Overwatch 2. They announced that they're doing like a little PvP closed beta pretty soon, actually, just next month in April. So yeah, finally some Overwatch 2 news. It seems like it's been like really quiet. I wonder if they've been also quiet just because obviously Activision Blizzard has had like the lawsuit and a bunch of stuff like that. Probably not the best time to promote your products, right? So yeah, finally they speak up about something. Um, doesn't seem like a lot of people seem to care. I don't know. What have you gathered from this? Do you have like a lot of friends that are still like anticipating Overwatch 2 or what? Because I don't know. I feel like it's died for me. Like
Not
everyone I knew,
really.
that's yeah,
I think the community of Overwatch has kind of just died, right? Like over the
yeah.
past few years, their like support of that game has just really dwindled. Like I know a couple people that were super into Overwatch, and I just don't think they'll go back to it. I definitely want to give it a go. I haven't been able to sign up for the beta yet because I tried last night and it just wasn't working. I assume just because loads of people were trying to do it and it was just glitched. Um, but to be honest, the way they're doing this is kind of disappointing to me because basically they're planning to split the release of PvP and PvE. And the idea is they want to get content to people quicker. And I assume that's because they haven't got anyone working on Overwatch 1 anymore. And so rather than making people wait another year or two just to get some Overwatch content. They want to release something now so that people can get back into the game and probably make some money, right, from microtransactions and stuff. So I get it, but at the same time, I was way more interested in the PvE side of the game than I was PvP. Mainly because I think like the characters and world of Overwatch is pretty cool, and I wanted to see more of the story side of it. So it's a shame that that's kind of on the back burner for the game, and I imagine that's not going to be sort of their priority for another year or two because you've got to imagine it's going to be in beta for a while. I wouldn't expect PvP to launch, I guess, per se, until next year, would be my guess. Um, because it sounds like it's kind of like an early access release. I don't think it's going to be a short closed beta. It'll be a Valorant kind of situation, right, where it's just active until the game comes out, would be what I would imagine is happening with this. Um, but who knows? They haven't like spoken too much about like how long it'll last and stuff. I know they said they were doing like a closed alpha thing, but then immediately after were like, oh, it's only for Blizzard employees and pro Overwatch players. So I was like, why did you even announce it? Because it's under
Why do you
NDA.
mention it? Yeah.
You might as well have just said nothing. Because I was like, oh, can I play in the alpha? Oh, wait, no. I don't know anyone that works at Blizzard, and I'm not a professional player. So, but yeah, I definitely want to give it a go. I used to enjoy Overwatch back when it first came out, and then it died off very quickly for me. Mainly due to I hate the community around Overwatch. Like it was really toxic, and just yeah, the support really did get dwindled. But hopefully, Overwatch 2 will kind of pique my interest again.
Yeah. I've only played like a little bit of Overwatch when it first came out, and I did like it. It was like super satisfying. It was like one of those games where like you could be playing bad and it still felt like you're playing good, which I thought was like a
Yeah.
cool thing and also kind of like a weird thing. But yeah, I don't know. I never really got into it really, so I don't really care for this either. I don't even know if I'll sign up for it, but cool to see. For those that care about that, I know it's been a long time coming. It's still really weird how it's been taking this long, but yeah, cool to see. And speaking of long-awaited games getting like signups, Skull and Bones has opened up like an insider program for like NDA testing. So if you want to help shape this game actually come out, there you go. Sign up and yeah, get some feedback for Ubisoft. So that's cool to see. I have no idea what shape this game is in. Like we haven't seen in years. For all I know, this could not even be online anymore. It could be like a single player game. So yeah, who knows what this game looks like at this point. Definitely has been going through a lot of development hell, but hopefully it turns out to be good eventually. Like it'd suck if this game eventually came out and it was bad, right? So hopefully all this like waiting has been for something. What'd you think about that, Charlie? Were you able to sign up?
I have signed up for it because I basically just sign up for all Ubisoft things because why not, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'll get in because from what I've read, they're looking for people that have way too much time to play it, which to me says that the game is in a really bad state and they want tons of feedback from as many people as they can. Um, but I signed up mainly because I just want to see what's going on with the game, man. Like even if I can't talk about it, like I just want to know what kind of state it's in, where the game's at. Um, but it's cool to see they do want to bring people on board at this point and get some outsider perspectives, which is nice. Um, but hopefully this is gonna lead into a more promising future for the game, but we'll see.
Yeah, nothing really to add. I'll probably sign up for this one just because I am interested in this one. Uh, yeah, a Pirates game would be cool to have. Like, I know a lot of the origins for that gameplay, at least from what we saw initially, was from AC4. Who knows if that's
Yeah.
still there? Probably had been updated since, but who knows? But yeah, we'll move on. Anyways, Ikumi Nakamura, the lady that danced on the E3 stage for Bethesda, there you go. Yeah, the ex-Coastwire creative director as well. She announced her new studio this week, and it's called Unseen. It's funny because like a lot of people were like wondering if she was gonna show up at the State of Play, and she announced her new studio like literally I think that day or like around so.
Yeah, it was that
Which is
day.
so
Yeah.
yeah, so weird how that happened to coincide. But yeah, I saw the video, it looked cool. Just yeah, it's cool. She has like a cult following around her because obviously of her personality and on stage and all that stuff. Uh, I don't know what she's gonna make. Has she talked about what she's making? I don't
I
think
think
so.
she said that they're gonna focus on like horror. That's what she
Cool,
wants to do, right? Which I think
nice.
makes
I'm down for
sense
that.
because have her background at what's the studio called? I can't even think. But the
Tango
guys or
GameWorks.
Tokyo Tango GameWorks. That's it. I was about to say Tokyo GameWorks. But yeah, like her experience there on Evil Within, as well. I think it's almost like it's basically confirmed at this point that Ghostwire was a completely different game when she was on board. I imagine it was way more horror orientated when she was in charge, right? Because it seems like it's not a horror game at all now. So it seems like that's probably why she left because they went in a different direction. Um, but she worked on Bayonetta as well, and I love Bayonetta. So I'm super excited to see whatever she works on. Because she's a cool like person as well. Like following her on Twitter. She's done
Just
a
like,
lot of like random like work for like Ubisoft and stuff over the past year. I know she did like some skins for Rainbow Six and stuff. So she's done a lot of like work all around the industry. I know she was like visiting a ton of the Sony studios at one point, so I don't know if she's going to have some kind of partnership with them because she was visiting like Sony Santa Monica a lot and talking to Cory Barlog because there was a rumor for a while that she was maybe going to join them. So yeah, I'm interested to see what they work on. I think they're a pretty small studio right now, but they are like hiring and stuff. So yeah.
right on. It's cool to see that she's doing her own thing now, and that's awesome that she's working on a horror game. Because I wish Ghostwire was more horror based, uh,
Tokyo.
more Tokyo. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I'm still open to what Ghostwire ends up playing like. It does look interesting. But yeah, I guess time will tell on that front. But yeah. Anyway, Sony, I think we might have talked about how the Ukraine letter came out that was like talking to the specific game developers and like, main players like Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo to close down sales in Russia in order to support Ukraine. While Sony ended up just suspending like software and hardware sales entirely in Russia, which is cool to see. So I think what Charlie said was like pretty much like the PSN store isn't even like functioning right now in Russia. So that's cool. It's interesting. Like this is like the first like not like Cold War like situation, but like different like conflicts right in World War, but like the internet's like kind of changing how you can fight it, right? Like I don't think we've seen this before where you can only just suspend like digital sales and that will like hurt their economy. It's like essentially it's like super weird to think about, but cool to see nonetheless, obviously in support of Ukraine. Charlie, what'd you think about that?
Yeah, I'm glad they've done this. It took them a little while, but I'm glad it has been done. I know alongside this they have just cancelled the launch of like Gran Turismo 7, like that just didn't
Mm-hmm.
release over there. Um, but yeah, I'm glad that they're finally doing this. I don't know if Microsoft has done anything yet. I feel like they might have like stopped new sales or something.
I think they might
And
have
I
said news, so let me look it
and I
up
don't
now.
think Nintendo have done anything yet. But yeah, hopefully they do because obviously the more companies that do this stuff, the better, really, because it just puts Russia in a tougher position where their economy is just gonna completely tank, right? Um, to the point where there'll just be no coming back, which is, you know, good for for Putin, right? Because it just tells him no, you can't do this stuff. Obviously, it sucks for the people in Russia that don't want any part of this, but um, what can you do about it, right? So I'm glad that it's finally been done. Hopefully, we start seeing some change soon, but who knows, man? It's probably going to be going on for a long time, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's crazy. I did look it up, and Microsoft did suspend like new sales in
Okay.
Russia. So yeah, looks like Sony was just late to the party on that front. But yeah, uh, good to see at least finally it happened, right? But yeah, we'll move on. Anyways, Aperture Desk Job has been data mined, and it has a lot of juicy information. I know you like linked me a Tyler McVicker video. I watched like the first like minute or two. Um, yeah, did you want to go in depth on this because you probably know more than me?
Yeah, I mean, as per usual with anything Valve, there was a ton of stuff leaked in the data mine to the point where like people have always thought that Valve do it on purpose, right? Like it's almost been their way of leaking stuff to the public for years. But even more so with this because there was a lot of stuff. I highly recommend people go and watch Tyler's video because it is really good. It is a very well done report. But he basically says there's nothing like visual in it. There's very little like actual assets, but there is a ton of like code relating to mainly four different projects. Um, and some of them are ones we knew about previously, and then there is one that we didn't really know about. So the main one is obviously Citadel, which we've talked about here a few times, which is meant to be Valve's next big project. Kind of like an RTS, but also you can like take control of the soldiers in like first person. Um, there was a ton of code leaked like surrounding the AI in the game and how they'll have procedural kind of like paths that they follow and how they detect players, as well as how you can pick up like weapons and abilities and how you if you're in VR you place them on your body in actual holsters and stuff. There was a ton of like so when you have code I know Brandon will obviously know this, but you usually write comments next to the code, right? So that you know what the code is referring to, and a lot of that stuff leaked. So there's a lot of bits of code that then have like paragraphs of information explaining what the things do. So
Brilliant.
there's a ton of like features like relating to the ability system, right, that has been leaked. That was the main thing. But alongside that, there was a lot of references to the Source 2 port of CSGO, which is obviously something that has been leaked a lot throughout the years, on and off. It looks like it is in development again. Whether that'll happen, who knows? It's Valve. There was a few more strings related to HLX, which we've also talked about in the past, which is basically code for Half-Life expansion, and it's meant to be a follow-up to Half-Life Alyx in some way. So another VR Half-Life game. And then the fourth project is meant to be like a recreation of a Portal game that was in development around the time of Portal 2, all to do with paint, basically. So you'd have like a paint gun was the idea of that game. It was one of the many projects they worked on around Portal 2 alongside F-Stop, which is the one to do with like pictures and stuff like that. But that's the fourth project that's been picked up recently.
Nothing Left 4 Dead 3 related.
Nothing Left 4 Dead 3 related in this, at least. I mean, I did see Tyler did tweet after this that he said HLX before CSGO. So it seems like Source 2 port of CSGO is probably not going to happen, would be my guess. I feel like it, because it always gets worked on by a few people and then they drop it to do something else because that's how Valve works. So my guess is right now, most of the team is on Citadel, right? Like that seems to be their next big project. And then there's probably a smaller team working on HLX, and then a super, super small team working on whatever this Portal thing is. I think it makes sense that a new Portal thing is in development in some kind. It's very clear that Valve want to do that. Every tech demo they have is Portal related. Like Aperture Desk Job was like just Eric Warpaw and Jay Pinkerton, the writers, just basically showing how much they want to write Portal still. So yeah, I hope that happens eventually. But yeah, Citadel seems to be the main thing. I know Tyler's been saying that he's heard more recently that it's going to have an actual single player campaign as well as multiplayer, which is cool, and that it does seem to be more Combine versus Rebels, but he's not really sure where it takes place in the timeline right now. There's some people saying that it's going to take place during this, I think it's the 7-hour war or 5-hour war, whatever it is, the war that happens like really quickly when the Combine first invade. But then he's also heard that it could just be set during like Half-Life 2, during like those little outposts where you see the rebels fighting the Combine. So he's unsure of that right now, but it seems to be that it is like a team-based RTS/FPS with Combine and Rebels, which is cool. You know, I'll take more Half-Life. I'll take more Valve games. Any day of the week. They clearly know how to make games still. So, but yeah, lots of cool stuff to dig into from that.
Right on, right on. Yeah, I don't believe we'll ever see that CSGO Source 2 thing. But cool to see Citadel's making more progress in HLX, which is nice. Those are probably the two I care about the most. With Left 4 Dead 3, but probably that's not even happening, so it is what it is. But yeah, we'll move on. Anyways, Charlie must be happy because Gotham Knights finally got a release date for the 25th of October this year. So yeah, I think that's a good date. It's also the 9th anniversary of Arkham Origins, so that works out well. Yeah, good to see this game, still coming out this year. Very excited for this one. And yeah, I'm guessing that means that probably Harry Potter's 2023. And I imagine, we already know that Suicide Squad is, right? So yeah, Harry Potter probably is 2023. I don't think they would want to launch a game like within a month from Gotham Knights. So like even if it is like end of November, yeah, I imagine this is the only one. So yeah, what are your thoughts on that, Charlie? Happy, disappointed it's so late, or what?
Well, I'm glad we finally got a date. I am surprised at the date, mainly because obviously we'd had a lot of rumors that it was going to be sort of first half of the year. But I'm kind of glad it's later because it just means they're getting more dev time, right? Which is always good. see, the thing is, right, Suicide Squad still has not been confirmed for 2023. Like everywhere it still says it's this year, but I just don't believe it like at all at
That's
this
right. It
point.
hasn't been
Like
confirmed. Yeah.
yeah, there's no way that game is still coming out this year because like why would it come out before Gotham Knights? And there ain't no way that game's releasing within like a month or
Yeah.
two of Gotham Knights. Like that would be like a really bad
That'd
idea.
be like the Battlefield and Titanfall situation that we saw.
Yeah. Harry Potter I could still see being this year or Hogwarts or whatever. Like I feel like that could be like a September release, right? Like that game is going to appeal to a different audience to Gotham Knights, so they could really release that whenever they want to. But I am like it sounds like Hogwarts is like in a really good spot right now, so I would be surprised if that one gets delayed, honestly.
Is it supposed to be out
Um,
this year?
yeah, it's meant to be out this year. It was meant to be out last year, so
Yeah, that's
um,
true.
yeah, so I'll be surprised if that one gets delayed. Just I like all the rumors have been saying they're ready to show that game off quite a bit. Like its development's been going really well, so um, I wouldn't be surprised if that one still comes out this year. But yeah, I'm glad we finally got a delay, a date. I want to say I willed this into existence because I have been rereading like the new 52 run of Batman, and I just finished rereading Court of Owls. So you can thank me for willing this release date into the limelight this week. You're welcome. But yeah, I'm glad it's finally got a date.
I've known like so many people that have been reading Batman ever since the Batman came out.
I know.
I think like Warlock and a bunch of people in Aniba have been doing that. So good timing, honestly, since the Batman just came out. A lot of people
Yeah.
probably talking about the movie, so good to have the game get announced there. Would have been cool to get a new trailer, but a date's fine. Like, yeah, glad that we actually got confirmation for once. But yeah. Anyways, our last news story is kind of surprising. Sony is doing a God of War TV adaptation, and they partner with Amazon Prime. So, yeah, we'll talk about this a bit. First thing I want to say is it's weird how Sony's like teaming up with like every single like streaming service out there. I think I put this in the Discord, but it's like HBO gets Last of Us. Peacock apparently is getting the Twisted Metal show, and now God of War is coming to Amazon Prime. It's like really weird, but I guess yeah, they're just testing to see which one sells the most. People are like wondering what God of War adaptation it's gonna be. I mean, I think it's pretty clear it's gonna be the 2018 version.
Yeah.
Like that's the most cinematic version, and that's the one that sold the most. And it's like it'd be really weird if you went back to like tiny Kratos on the screen slashing around like enemies after you just had like the more like I don't know, not mature but like more like I don't know progressive like God of War that we've had where it's like actually like you know probably like it's been the best one in the series I'd say like everyone kind of thinks that mostly but yeah it's interesting. I don't know what I think about this. Like I think I'm open to seeing how it turns out, but it's like really weird to think of watching like God of War on like a cinema kind of form of like a TV show or a movie. I think it's a TV show. Yeah, TV show. But yeah, I don't know. It'd be kind of weird. Like The Last of Us, that made sense to me, but God of War just feels super weird because I feel like a lot of that experience has to be done with playing. But yeah, what are your thoughts on that, Charlie?
Yeah, I'm definitely interested to see how this would turn out. I definitely think it would work a lot better as a TV show than a film.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just lends itself and that world lends
The
itself
game's
to
so long
that
too.
kind of adaptation. Um, I don't know how I feel about a TV adaptation. It's very soon after that game came out, really, compared to like
Yeah.
Last of Us and Uncharted and Twisted Metal. Like all of those games came out, a while ago, right? So
Mm-hmm.
this one's a very close release, especially since we're going to be getting Ragnarok as well, right? Like people are going to be very like fresh to those characters whenever this stuff gets casted and announced officially. Um, I don't know who they get to play Kratos. I know I posted it in the Discord, but then you did also point out like that it
Yeah.
might not be true. But I know like a few weeks back, The Rock was saying like he's going to be playing some game character in a movie he's doing, and that it was like some super badass popular character that he's been playing the game of for years. And then after this announcement, I thought, oh, maybe it's that. And then you pointed out he said movie, but
Yeah.
it could also be possible
He
that
he just didn't know
he
what he was
he
talking
he
about.
just didn't know at the time, right? Um, like The Rock, I could see playing Kratos. Like I could see that happening. Uh, I don't know if it'd be a good casting choice, but I
I said
could
it was
see
like the
it.
most fitting and also the least fitting at the same time. It's
Yeah,
like so weird. Like he looks the part obviously, and he's like buff as hell, but it's just also just really weird to think of The Rock playing as Kratos. Uh,
yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
you're right though. It's too soon though, for sure.
but yeah, I think it's too soon for that kind of adaptation. I also think it's like, even though I think it would make a lot more sense to do a show on the newer games, I also think it could be a bit of an issue because that game's kind of like story isn't reliant on you knowing the other games, but it wants you to know about the other games. And I don't
Yeah.
know how the show would pull that off. Whether they'd do actual flashbacks to, those games and show you that stuff, or if they'd just kind of tease it and kind of be like, yeah, you should go and play those, even though there's not really a way to play them that well these days, right? Except for like
Hmm.
PlayStation Now.
Like the moment
Um,
when he gets the, I won't spoil it, but like the scene where he's on
yeah,
the boat, like that wouldn't work well in the show because no one's gonna know what that means.
exactly. So I don't know. Maybe they would do the older games, but I don't think that would make a good show or movie adaptation because there's just not enough plot there, like to carry it right. Because they are very action focused, and the story does come second in those games, especially like the first one. Two a little bit, and then three is quite story heavy, but there's still a hell of a lot more action than there is story in those. Um, so I don't know. I'm interested to see how it turns out, and what direction they go. But it's definitely the thing I'm more kind of skeptical about compared to Last of Us and Twisted Metal and even Ghost of Tsushima. Because I'm actually really interested to see how that one turns out as a film. But um, yeah, this one I'm more skeptical on, but I'll definitely be looking to see how it turns out and what they're actually adapting.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's probably the one I'm like skeptical about the most, just because like the Ghost of Tsushima movie obviously has the John Wick director behind it, and they have the potential of getting the same guy that did Jin, so that one could be pretty cool. And then obviously like Twisted Metal, like it doesn't need to be like super faithful. It's like it's Twisted Metal. Come on. And then obviously like HBO Last of Us is probably gonna be the best project out of all of them. I don't know. I feel like that one's gonna be really good. I just have a feeling it will be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. This one just doesn't hit right. Amazon Prime, obviously, it's a really good service, so I'm sure the budget will be decent. But yeah, it's just the timing of it is just really weird, and just the details of that. But yeah, that pretty much brings us up to the end of the episode. So thank you all for watching and sticking with us throughout the whole entire episode. We'll see you next week for episode 62, and yeah, see you later.
See you later.